Let's hopefully the numbers are all going to work. Show us how they were able to pull off the deal, Tom.
It's basically dollar for dollar. It's $13 million for $13 million, but it's talent for talent, which is interesting. So Clarkson comes in as a backcourt replacement for Thomas, and then you got Nance coming in as a front court replacement for Fry, and vice versa. Now this draft pick goes out as well, so that's relevant for the Lakers side. But if you look at it now, LeBron has gotten rid of the problem in the backcourt. Isaiah just wasn't working out. Clarkson can score the basketball, right? He is a big-time scorer, and this is a good young player that's maybe going to replace the loss of yet another young player for the Cleveland, for the Cavaliers. They never draft anybody. They just trade them all away. So let's flip to the other side, and let's take a look at what this means for the Lakers. Similar thing. They're going to bring in different players. So Fry comes in for Nance, and you got Isaiah for Clarkson. But what this is relevant about is cap room. And we heard all about it. This clears for next year 46 to now 70 million in room for these Lakers. So they're going to, now Magic Johnson is armed to go get Paul Pierce, or who's our?
Paul George?
Paul George, yes. Right. Paul Pierce just smiled somewhere.
Yes.
And then LeBron. Look, LeBron could end up right in the middle of this because these two contracts expire, and it's now relevant that he may be there. So it's just, it is interesting, and we'll see what happens.
How much do you need for two max guys? What's the number you got to hit?
It depends on who they are, but if it were, it's about 65 million for both. 35 for LeBron, 30-some for Paul George.
Okay, so they have the cap space. Doesn't mean they can sign the player. That is always a bit of a problem because there's going to be a few teams that have the cap space.
But it depends on how interesting this team ends up being around them. They do lose some star power and scoring power in Clarkson, but it's really interesting. I mean, you know, look, let's face it. It's going to be all about this guy for the big story for next year, but they're better.
Interesting. Brian Windhorst was saying just a short time ago, this trade somehow makes it more probable that LeBron James is going to one of these two teams. Both of these teams have better odds now of getting LeBron James.
Look,
I don't know how that I don't know how the math works there, but it does.
If this group does better, it's more likely he stays because these guys are going to be here. If this group fails, it's more likely he could leave and go to Los Angeles because there's an appealing amount of younger talent there and the ability to get a running mate with him. So this one is the beginning of the new story.
Long-term strategy, you bring in younger guys, more athletic guys, and you hold on to that all-important Brooklyn Nets first-round pick.
Yeah, keep that pick. They need to draft somebody someday. They need youth in the pipeline.
This could be the year. Tom Penn, our capologist, giving us his thoughts on this blockbuster between the Lakers and the Cavs.